Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a mystery horror film, The Forgotten. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins with Telly, a grieving mother, after losing her son, Sam, who was killed in a plane crash with 5 other kids 14 months ago. Since then, Telly has been seeing a therapist doctor who continuously helps her overcome her intense grief. However, Telly is far from overcoming it, as she spends time at her son's dresser daily, reminiscing about him. Unlike Telly, her husband wants them to move on. During another visit to her doctor, Telly displays a concerning behavior in which her memory slips, making her forget things she did and remember the ones that she did not. Later that night, as they prepare to have a nice dinner together, Telly notices that her son is missing in one of the family pictures. She immediately confronts her husband, thinking he's the one who changed the picture, and as expected, she storms out after he denies the accusation. She goes to the park where Sam would always play and finds Ash swinging by himself. Ash is also one of the parents who lost their kid in the plane crash. He and Telly know each other through their kids, who like playing with each other. As she returns home and goes to bed, Telly reminisces herself happily running after her ecstatic son to see the plane he's boarding. The following day, Telly does her morning routine, checking Sam's dresser and reminiscing his memories. However, when she checks his books, she finds the pages empty and completely blank. Telly immediately calls her husband's office and leads a furious accusation of him erasing their son's existence. After that, she returns to Sam's room, takes out the videotapes, and goes downstairs to play them. However, like the rest of his stuff, they are gone. Not long after hearing the voicemail, the husband comes home and faces Telly's accusation that he erased their son, like Sam never existed. However, Telly is the one who gets to be surprised when her husband explains to her that there was never a Sam, and the doctor will explain it further. The doctor reveals that she never had a son and is waking up from her delusions of being a mother to Sam for 9 years to make up for the loss when she had a miscarriage. However, Telly refuses to believe Sam was made up from her post-traumatic shock. Telly storms out of the house and drives to the town's library, asking for newspapers about the plane crash 14 months ago. She even gets the librarian's help and sympathy after seeing her state. But Telly's attempt to prove that Sam existed is in vain, as there's no news of it. Despite that, Telly never loses hope and goes to their neighbor, who used to babysit Sam. Telly tries to make her remember the kid she used to babysit, but just like the rest of the people around her, her neighbor also has no memory of Sam. Telly immediately runs away, still devastated as she sees her husband coming after her. Desperate to have someone believe her, Telly resorts to Ash and tries to explain her situation and her connection to him. However, Ash thinks of her as an old fan, as he's a former hockey player. Despite that, Telly continues to attempt to make him remember their kids. Ash replies that he doesn't have a daughter and asks Telly to continue their conversation after sleeping, as he has been a drunkard. Telly puts him to bed before returning to his office, where she notices something on the wall. Telly tears the wallpaper, revealing a blue paint full of a kid's paintings. The following day, as soon as Ash wakes up, Telly shows him his office, which once was his daughter's room. Telly explains to him that he used to let his daughter paint on the room's wall, so she would show it to her son, Sam. Telly goes on and on about how she's related to him, but Ash has had enough, because he believes he never had a daughter. Telly then tells him that it's all true, because after the incident, Ash started drinking and has become a drunkard. Ash stops her before she can go on to process everything. However, shortly after sitting with her, Ash reveals that he had called the police. Ash opens the door for the police, who take Telly out of his apartment. Ash returns to his messy office, and just then, he finally remembers his daughter. Memories and proof of his daughter's existence come rushing through his mind, shocking him to his very core. As this happens, 2 NSA agents take Telly into custody. As he processes what just happened, Ash quickly goes out to help Telly, and fortunately, he catches the agents in time before they drive away. Ash repeatedly tells her that he remembers his daughter, giving Telly new hope. Ash fights the agents and unlocks the car, freeing Telly. Both agents run after Telly and Ash, but they manage to escape. After that, Telly's husband goes to a detective, who informs him about Telly's recent involvement with Ash. The detective explains that Telly went to Ash's apartment and trashed his place, claiming that her son was missing and possibly dead. The husband informs her that they never had a son, and his wife is delusional. The detective adds that Telly was turned over to federal agents and fled, but the husband is puzzled as to why federal agents are interested in his wife. The NSA never dealt with trashing apartments and missing children, which also confuses the husband as he repeatedly claims there was never a child. Later that night, Telly and Ash reunite at the park, where Ash shares his overwhelming feelings about how he forgot his little daughter. Telly shares that she believes that the government abducted their children and did something that made everyone besides them forget their existence. Telly believes that it's the only plausible explanation for the strange disappearances. On their way to a hotel, more NSA agents crash their car into theirs, but fortunately, it's not that forceful to make them unconscious. Telly and Ash flee their vehicle and manage to escape the federal agents one more time. After ensuring that the agents are off their tails, the two go to a hotel, where Telly contacts the doctor despite the late night. Telly informs him that she found someone else who went through the same thing as she did. She dares the doctor to explain how two people could remember their children, while everybody else believes they never existed. The doctor responds that she's having a panic attack and needs help, but Telly needs him to start believing her. Ash returns to their room carrying groceries shortly after Telly ends the call. As he drinks another bottle of whiskey, Ash shares his confusion. He thinks that erasing their memories after the children's death is nonsense. Telly remains silent as she doesn't know what to say. The following day, another memory of Sam boarding the plane flashbacks into Telly's mind. This gives her an idea, so she immediately gets herself dressed up and wakes up Ash, who's pissed off by her pouring water on him. Telly dismisses it and explains that there's a high chance of possibility that their children are alive. That's why she can't let go. Telly thinks of it as what Ash said last night finally made sense. If the children are dead, it's not necessary to erase their memories anymore. The plane crash made the news, but the bodies were never found, and it was just assumed that all of the passengers died. Later that day, Telly and Ash go to a rental car to go to her husband's office when they encounter the police and a strange man driving their way. Left with no choice, Ash runs over the strange man and drives away. Although panicked, Telly shares that she has seen the man before. Her phone rings, the detective introduces herself as she answers it and informs her that she's in charge of her case. Telly and Ash take this opportunity and explain to the detective there's no plausible explanation for two people to remember different children if they never existed. After that, she ends the call and waits for her husband to come out of his office building. Telly stops him from walking as soon as she sees him, but her husband cannot remember her. He's totally clueless about her existence and never even remembers that he's married to her. She returns to Ash, devastated that her husband has now suffered the same fate as the other people around them. While walking, the two re-encounter the NSA agents, prompting them to run into the car and drive away fastly as they can. They immediately lose the agents, and Ash suggests leaving the city for the rest of the day, as they have targets on their backs. Unbeknownst to them, a strange man watches them drive away, unharmed and standing like he didn't get run over. Meanwhile, the worker in the rental explains to the detective that the strange man got right up and bounced off the gas pump, like it was nothing. This confuses the detective, as there's not even the slightest drop of blood on the gas pump or the ground. The NSA agent then enters the scene, gives his phone number to the detective, and tells her to call and inform him as soon as she gets a lead or any information about Telly and Ash. Their presence at the crime scene raises suspicion on whether they are involved in Telly's claim about the plane crash that killed their children. However, the agents deny such accusations as expected. Later that night, Telly and Ash are in a farmhouse that Ash presumably owns. The two get into a heated argument, as Telly is fed up with Ash's drinking problem. Ash subtly explains that it's the only way he can cope with the fact that he let them take away his little girl. Meanwhile, the doctor stops the detective from leaving her office and explains his involvement with Telly. The doctor adds that he's uncertain of whether Telly is purely delusional, which makes him get questioned by the detective. She doesn't believe two people could have the same delusion of their children, getting killed by a plane crash. The doctor responds that there's a possibility that Ash agrees with Telly's delusions to be with her. He then proposes a partnership to catch Telly because there's a high chance that Telly's gonna have a psychotic break. Hours later, as the night deepens, Ash checks the outside after hearing the dog's continuous barking. He finds a man watching them hiding through the bushes, whom Ash knocks out unconscious. The man who works for the NSA wakes up tied to a chair. The two bombard him with questions that have been bothering them, and Ash uses a metal iron to force the truth out of the NSA guy. Left with no choice, the man reveals that the government, the NSA specifically, are working with them for the survival and protection of humankind. He adds that Ash and Telly were supposed to forget, just like everybody did, and with them remembering, everything was not part of the experiment. Telly stops Ash before he can get more violent and calmly tries to convince the NSA guy to tell them how to get their children back. However, the man replies that they're listening, and just then, the roof gets ripped off from the farmhouse, and the man disappears without a trace of his smelly hormones, presumably taken by the mysterious them. The detective visits the cabin the following day after Telly and Ash have fled. The only evidence left is a note written on the window. They explain through it that their children were abducted, and they need help. They also find the man's NSA ID, but no sign in his body, which raises more concern. While driving, another memory of Sam boarding the plane flashes back into Telly's mind. This time she remembers the airline Quest Air, which she shares with Ash. The two check the airline and discover only one worker in the office, the accountant. She informs them that the airline is being audited for bankruptcy. Telly lies to her and manages to get her to tell her Mr. Chenier, the former CEO, address. The two go to Mr. Chenier's house, only to find it barren, but Telly takes a quick nap while Ash stays awake in case something happens. Meanwhile, after the accountant reports a scam made by the duo, the detective and the doctor follow them to the CEO house. As she lies on the bed, another flashback plays into her mind, giving her another piece to the puzzle. The strange man that had been following them was present on the day of Sam's boarding. Just then, Ash and Telly realize that Mr. Chenier is the strange man from the car rental. As they prepare to leave to the airport, the two sense their presence around the house. They immediately run downstairs, break a glass window, and run away when they hear a car coming. Ash gives his apartment keys to Telly and instructs her to meet him there, while he stays to stall whoever is coming. Telly runs away, while Ash returns inside the house. The detective gets out of the car and goes to the house, where she encounters Chenier. The detective warns him not to move, but he disobliges her, so she repeatedly shoots him. However, Chenier keeps walking, as his bullet wounds heal within seconds, making the detective realize that Telly was telling the truth all along. On the other hand, Ash comes out of the house and convinces the doctor to drive and leave the detective to help Telly. At that same time, Telly's having trouble, as the mud sucks in the car's tire. The detective catches her before she flees again, telling her that she believes her and will help her get her son back. However, something powerful and unseen sucks the detective up to the sky, making her disappear. Telly meets Ash in his apartment, where Telly informs him about what happened to the detective. Ash dismisses that and tells her that the doctor is waiting for them downstairs. However, Chenier suddenly shows up before they can leave, and Ash immediately charges at him. When he realizes his attempt fails, Ash thrusts backward to the window, dropping Chenier with him. Telly immediately goes outside, only to find the ground empty as Ash was taken by the mysterious them. The doctor appears and takes Telly to the Quest Airs airport, where she finds Chenier waiting. The doctor talks to him and asks him to make things right and end the experiments. Telly realizes that the doctor has been in cahoots with Chenier, who seems to be an alien all along. As Chenier walks away, the doctor explains that the them is actually the aliens who have been conducting experiments on Earth, and he's one of the few who knows. This is also why the federal agents are chasing her to prevent a bigger scale invasion, and her being one of the two who remembers their children is affecting the experiment significantly. The doctor refuses to help her anymore, so Telly goes in further alone. Telly pursues Chenier and demands her son back, but he responds with a question, if she can see Sam there at that moment. Just then, she sees Sam behind Chenier, so Telly immediately runs to him, but Sam runs away and disappears in a corner. She instead runs into Chenier again, who insists she forgets her son. Another realization hits Telly. It turns out the experiment was never about the children. It was about the parents. Chenier confirms it by explaining that the unbreakable bond between a mother and child has always confused them. So he proposed the experiment to prove that the unbreakable bond is breakable. But after the experiment, every other parent has forgotten their kid's existence, except for her. He wants her to forget her son, or the experiment will fail, and he will be held accountable. He then screams that she needs to forget, as his face simultaneously contorts into a strange figure, and the glasses break by his voice. Telly recovers quickly and runs away from him, but he suddenly appears out of nowhere and grabs her by the neck. As he chokes her, he instructs her to remember the first moment she saw her son when he was born. Telly does it, and Chenier steals her memory. Telly falls to the ground, and when Chenier asks about Sam, she doesn't remember him anymore. Chenier smiles triumphantly and walks away, but then Telly remembers being pregnant. This causes her to remember again, causing panic in Chenier. He says he needs more time before being sucked up to the sky. Telly runs home, looking for her son, as the experiment has failed, showing that the bond between a mother and a child is not always breakable. When she doesn't find her son there, she goes to the park, and this time she finally reunites with her son. All the other children have also returned, and she remains calm, as she doesn't want to cause panic. She leaves her son playing with Ash's daughter and goes to the swing, where she finds Ash, who has no memory of the recent events. The film ends with Telly and Ash watching over their kids, with Telly being the only one who knows about the alien experiment. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.